The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 173.
Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of outstanding women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out amazing blog articles and our killer resources. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap-Chan, and today I have an amazing lady who's on today. She's going to share her story. She is an actor and also the Executive Director of Kollaboration, and I'm just really excited to have her on to share her story about self-confidence and what she's been through. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Christine Minji Chang. Christine, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Great. Hi, Sheena. Thanks so much for having me on. And you can call me Minji. Minji is becoming a lot more prominent part of my identity. I'm so glad to be on the podcast and to be speaking to a great audience about a really important topic to me. And you said, I'll share a little bit about me. I'm from the Bay Area, born and raised. Actually, I was born in Davis, but I spent my entire life up until 2 years ago in the Bay Area. All over it, actually. I grew up in Cupertino and moved to the East Bay to Pleasanton. I went to UC Berkeley, and then I lived in Oakland and San Francisco. So I'm a total Bay Area girl. And I'm Korean American. And I have gone through I had a really eventful life, I guess. I love reflecting on all the millions of things that have brought me to this current place where I'm living in Los Angeles, being the Executive Director of Kollaboration, which is a nonprofit organization focusing on discovering, connecting, and elevating Asian American artists and also pursuing acting. So that's me in kind of a nutshell.
Awesome. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My self-confidence quotes, I actually have a lot, but one of my favorite books is The Alchemist, which is about discovering yourself and pursuing your personal legend. Anybody who's read the book knows that. But one of my favorite quotes from that book is, tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams, because every second of the search is a second's encounter with God and with eternity. It's very, very deep.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that. And it's true, right? Especially with Asian women culture, like we're so afraid of the unknown. Like we're so afraid to step out there because we've been programmed to just do what you're told, go to school, get married, and just get a job and never rock the boat. So, when we step out of that, it's like, oh my God, what if, people make fun of me? What if they think I'm nuts? And we fear that, but not knowing, when we step over that, that's when the true magic happens and you can be whoever you want to be. So, I really love that quote, and thanks for sharing that. In your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
That's actually taken me a lot. That was like a very tough question to answer. But I think in summary, I would define it as knowing who you are. And I think that in and of itself is a really challenging journey to know who you are, truly who you are, and not who other people are assigning you to be, and to embrace it really to its fullest. And that including, things that we might look at as our flaws, and really just being at peace with yourself in that present moment. Because I think it's a moment-to-moment basis of self-confidence where you continue to build yourself as a person, but if you're not fulfilled and at peace and, embracing who you are in the present moment, that further development in that journey doesn't continue. So, yeah.
I love it. And it's true, right? Knowing who you are is probably one of the hardest things, or not hardest, but challenging things for a person, because, all our lives we think we know ourselves, but really, there's so much deeper roots that we can go and find what we're capable of, what we truly know about ourselves, and accepting our flaws too, because, as women, we accept our strengths and we forget our flaws, thinking our flaws is a bad thing, but it can be a great thing, right? Knowing,
right,
that you have mistakes, you make mistakes, you're not perfect, is what makes you human, what makes people want to be drawn to you and know who you truly are and be attracted to the right people in your life. So great definition. And what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
As a disclaimer or preface, I would say that my true self-confidence has only come really recently, actually, since I turned 30. But leading up to that, I mean, there was also a very significant marker when I was 19 where things really turned around for me. But I would say my life before true self-confidence was one that was very, very fear-driven. It was very insecure and very just so in my head and concerned with external validation, with what everyone else thought of me. Complete strangers, people that are not meaningful to me in any way. I mean, their opinion had such an impact on me. And it wasn't fulfilling. I feel like I was very productive as a young person, but I think it was always because I was reaching for some sort of validation or acknowledgement that would make me feel like I was worthy and not truly feeling that worthiness. So, yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's kind of part of being young. So it's not to judge anybody who's feeling that. It's really I really have a lot of compassion for those earlier parts of life when you're really figuring it out. But for me personally, it got a little bit self-destructive, and there were some really dark and difficult times that I went through in order to really find that self-confidence.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I think we all go through that, needing others to accept us, to validate us, to love us for who we are, when really all we need is ourselves, right? And sometimes when we're young, we have no clue, right? Because we've been brought up a certain way, and that was the best that we knew, right? And as you go through this journey, learning that, you can be that person to fill that cup, pure love, and then it can overflow and attract the right people. It's amazing, right? It's what most women go through, right? They just feel like maybe they need to have a man to fulfill their life, or they need to, be the good daughter for their parents so that, their parents can love them. And this is something that happens to almost every woman every day. So I'm glad you were able to bring that up and, show others that, you're not the only one out there who feels this way. And, what was that moment in your life when you realized, you can, do the things that you want to do? You can break out of that cycle.
I think that particular very significant moment for me was when I was 19. I had actually been in a very abusive relationship for 5 years at that point. And it's really ironic. A lot of people, even now, if they know that particular part about my past, they're often surprised because I am a very outspoken, opinionated, in a lot of ways, like a very strong personality. But again, coming from a place of low self-esteem and low self-confidence, I was very kind of brought into this tornado, or this, like a tornado. I think that's you're just sucked into this vortex of self-destruction. And I knew that it wasn't good for me, but for some reason I was in this downward spiral. And, sometimes it got bad, it got worse before it got better. But I'm really happy and grateful for the moment when I was 19, when things kind of came to a halt in a very painful and dramatic fashion. But I think that was a true turning point for me, where suddenly I had this moment of clarity that I had power in my life, that I'd been building up to this moment to understand my self-worth, that I didn't deserve the pain and the sadness and the despair that I had been kind of experiencing for such a long time at that point. And yeah, the end of that bad relationship was a true moment of, oh my God, I can get out of this. I can live a really happy life. And it's been, it hasn't been 100% easy since then, but I can definitely attest that it's been amazing. It's been a really upward journey since then.
Thanks for sharing that. And, it's difficult for women to even share a story where they've been abused, right? Whether it's physical, mental. I mean, abuse is abuse. And, so many women out there are too afraid because they're afraid like it might be their fault when it's not, and sometimes you might have to go through, unfortunate incidents like this to get out of it, to grow stronger, like what you've been able to learn from it, right? And, after that, what's your life have been now?
It's been amazing. Not to sound too cheesy, but I have loved every single moment since that. I mean, I have so many great moments prior to that as well, but really, every day, literally, I feel like I've become more of who I am. It made me braver because I felt kind of indestructible in a way that at that point I felt I had been through the worst hell that I could be put through. And from there, it's actually very empowering to know that you can survive something very hard and know that you're going to be okay. And then it also allows people who love you to support you and to give you that love and reassurance that also empower you. So it was not just in and of myself, but it was a moment for my family to come together and for my friends to be allowed back in my life in a really encouraging, loving way. So it's been amazing. I mean, I kind of went through the motions. I finished school. And yeah, I'm pursuing a path that I really know in my heart that I belong on. And as much as I loved the pre-med life, because that was another aspiration of my own, not because my parents were making me, but I made a choice to choose the riskier path, which was acting and pursuing arts and entertainment media, which I think is a really powerful medium to change paradigms, to change things for women, to change things for people of color. And it's been incredible. Barrel of laughs and some tears, but really, really fulfilling.
Awesome. I'm glad you're, having the time of your life now. And Christine, to the women who's listening to your episode, they may be in, a similar situation in their journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
Forgive yourself. That sounds so... Forgiveness in general, like yourself and others. I don't know if that's the way that everybody has approached it, but I experienced a lot of guilt and a lot of shame about who I was, the things I wanted to do. Like the thought of acting, I don't know, it seemed like I knew it would disappoint my parents, which for a period of time it did, but they're coming around. Things like that, just being a disappointment to people and feeling like I'm not enough. I mean, I couldn't let myself off the hook. And I also, spent a period of time like blaming my parents or blaming the Korean culture. So many different things where it was just such a negative place to be. And I'm still dealing with that. But I think forgiveness is really, really powerful, especially for yourself when you can, again, accept who you are and not criticize yourself for being a human who has wants and needs, because you also have so much to offer the world and the universe. And once that is allowed to flow, I mean, that's where magic happens. And I think once we're done resisting that, that's when good things can keep coming. They'll build. It'll take time and it'll build. But forgiveness is so key to that. Not to sound too preachy, but it's been a hard, but really I'm very grateful to have learned that lesson.
Awesome. And I think it's a great tip. We are so hard on ourselves, the self-sabotage, the self-limiting. We forget to forgive ourselves and forgiving others. And it's not because, you're letting other people off the hook. It's just a peace of mind on your part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to eat that stuff up in your head, and it's just poisonous, right? And you just got to let that poison out sometimes just by the simple act of forgiveness. And yeah, it's not the easiest because I've forgiven a lot of people who I just wanted to like punch in the face, but it was necessary for my sanity, right? I mean, I don't want to go through life hating on everybody, right? So I totally agree with you. And to me, it does not sound preachy. I think we, especially, women today, we have to, remind people that forgiveness is something that you have to do for yourself, to be better, to be at peace, to live that life that you want. So I really love it. And Minji, if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more of what you do and who you are, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Absolutely. You guys can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Minjeezy, Minjeezy. I'm also on Twitter under that handle, but there's a couple extra E's in that because the original was taken by someone else. Also, you can check out Kollaboration. I'm very passionate about that. I'm on the podcast. I interview different Asian artists, and we're always just working to elevate Asian American creatives, our storytellers, and helping release us from all of these past burdens and kind of be empowered and be awesome and be diverse.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And
check it out.
Yeah, for sure. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Minji, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Minji's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And, I just really want to thank Minji for taking her time to share her story with us and, inspiring others to just go out there and take action. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was an honor to have you on. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll catch you later. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for connecting with us on the Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetaoofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more.